Y'all, what is up? It's your favorite attorney, honey. Court in a little while. I'm gonna have to suit up in a second. But I just want to see you guys. Make sure I do my shows, y'all. It's hard. I know. I'm not using liner. That's the issue you have when you're dark skinned like me. But when you find that right red, you really don't need it because it's gonna throw the color off on the rest of the lip. Okay, yeah. When you're dark skinned, you understand. When you're not, you don't. So I'm just gonna tell you what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Before you have anything to say, okay, y'all. So, okay, y'all know this is my favorite sweater. So you may see this sweater 1,000 times. I just got it this past season, and it is not yet seasoned. I will be wearing my sweater. I love my sweater. Anyways, y'all, I'm trying to get my hair together because I gotta put it back and pin it back to go before the judge, and I will be doing so. But nothing's gonna stop a little frumple and a fripple at the front. Okay? Even when I put it back, it's frimpling and froppling. It has a frupple at the front. That's me. Anyways, you have to put your little Sheila Jackson Lee. You got to do a little frump, and then you can put the rest back. Anyways, moving on. Guys, okay, so with the show, you guys have been doing a good job about writing and everything and asking me questions, blah, 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 about life, about everything. And I am going in there to get the gavel because y'all know that's where I get the gavel from, but I need a little lotion. It's cold out here today. Y'all know I'm a little dark skinned. I can get a little ashy even after I have already moisturized. So we just going to take care of that. But anyways, you guys have been writing all types of stuff, right? So a couple of y'all have been having questions about just regular everyday stuff. And I've been like, I don't really want to go off in that because, this is, but I had to think about it. It's the court of my public opinion. That's what this is. And so people want to know, hey, what would you do if you were in my situation? And I guess y'all feel like maybe I can give you some good advice. I don't know if that's what you're thinking. But I'm going to try it. I'm going to go ahead and try to give you guys some advice and see how that works just on everyday stuff. This ain't legal. This isn't legal. Okay? And we're going to go from there. So, I have a few emails that are not pertaining to legal stuff. Just kind of pertaining to relationships. And, I do have to find myself issuing out some sort of advice every now and then for clients in family cases. Okay? In criminal cases as well, because y'all will allow people to call the police on y'all and stay with them, and we ain't gonna go there today. But I mean, here we go. Okay, so someone is asking a question. Okay, and they're asking me basically what they're telling me is that they have found some things in their partner's phone, and they're trying to figure out what now to do with their life. It's a woman. She's wrote me because, I guess she believes he's cheating or what have you. She's found some things in his phone, and I don't know. Okay, so this is my advice to her. Ma'am, and you know who you are because you wrote me asking me what to do. It's been 4 years, blah, blah, blah. Let me start off by saying this. Men are not to be rushed because they will go at their own time. Okay? This can be evidenced by, what is that man with the David Letterman? Do y'all see how long he was with that woman? Let me bring y'all into my court of my public opinion. He was with that woman for almost 20 damn years before he married her, but he finally married her. Now, I'm not telling you have to wait 20 years. You can tell your man. You can tell whether he's trying to move along or whether he's not, whether he's stalling, whether he's not being with you because he has other prospects. Okay? You may not want to know, but you got a feeling. And if you have a feeling and you don't know, you may need to ask him. And if you can't count on him to tell you the truth, he's not the one for you, right? So I just want to start off by saying that. But anyway, she went off into his phone. And she has seen some things. She feels like she has wasted 4 years of her life. She doesn't know what to do because he's cheating. Okay? And at this point, she's taken aback. She's just in shambles. And a lot of times as women, I understand you get in shambles. You find this man cheating, blah, blah, blah. But let's talk about a few things. You can kind of tell when a person is cheating on you. Let me tell y'all something. A lot of y'all are not with your man. Okay, and I'm just gonna go ahead and we're gonna talk about this. A lot of y'all are not with a man that belongs to you. Do I need to repeat it? Let me get a little louder for the people in the back. You all are not with a man that belongs to you. And what I mean by that is, you know that man is in love with somebody else. You know you caught him on a breakup. You know you caught him at a time where he was not trying to move forward with you. Yet you pressed the issue. And because you were able to press the issue and get what you want for the time being, you thought you had what you wanted and you don't. Because a man moves on a man's time. Okay? And trying to push a man along every now and then, that can flop and floop and flop and flop and floop and flop in your face. Okay? And I'm not talking about for the women that have been in a serious relationship with a guy and you know he has commitment issues and you need to give him a deadline or you need to move on. Women, you all know who you are. You know what relationships you're in. Generally, men that need that kind of coaxing are in a very strong relationship with the woman. They're just not taking the step to marriage. But basically, they're darn near married because they live together. They've known each other for a while. They still talk to each other's families. They're very familial in everything that they do, but they just won't take that step. They're exchanging money. They mix money. Bank accounts are mixed. Things like that, but they won't take the step. I'm not talking to women like that. Okay, because most of the time, women like that, you're not finding someone off in your phone. You're not going off in his phone. Number one, and number two, women like that, you're not finding things in his phone. Now, every now and then, you will. Okay, and there are. I have friends that have been with their men since they were 17 and 18 years old, and so yes, they have been through things. But we're not talking about that. And here we're speaking to a woman that's been with somebody for 4 years, and he's just blatantly cheating on her. Ma'am, you need to figure out and know whether or not this relationship is done. Because a lot of times as women, you can care more about a man than a man cares about you quick. And that happens because we are wired emotionally for that. Okay? And I just want to say, guys, I am not a relationship specialist. I am not a therapist. I am an attorney. But she asked me a question, I'm just answering her. Bringing her to the court of my public opinion. So this is what I think that she needs to do. She needs to evaluate her claim and her case. Okay, is this a man that you are very far along with, that you have gotten along with, y'all don't have any issues, you thought everything was great, and then you found him cheating? Because if that's the case, you might have a problem. Or is he a man that you have had ups and downs with him, you have had issues, y'all are trying to work through him, and he might just be kind of stepping out? So that's the first thing you have to do in evaluating your relationship with the man. Number two, you need to evaluate whether or not the man is yours. I know he's with you for the time being, but a lot of times, again, women, we get a man that is not ours. We know he's not ours, but we just want him. We catch him in a moment of weakness. We get him, and then we try to hold on to him. And men come out of moments of weakness. Sometimes their moment of weakness can be a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It depends on how hard they were busted and their balls were busted in the prior relationship, and how much they were vulnerable in the prior relationship as to how long it's going to take them to recover a lot of the times. And some of them just don't recover very quick, and so you think that they're in a relationship with you and they're loving you and they're really trying to get over that other person. And what happens is once they get over that person, then they're over you as well, and they're moving on because you were just a stepping stone. You were just a sound block. You were just a bridge to take them over the troubled waters. So if you, ma'am, are a bridge that was taking this man over troubled waters, you caught him at a time when he was down, fresh out of another relationship, etc., you may need to rethink things. And then another thing, women, is you have to be careful going through these men's phones because you will find stuff a lot of the time. Now, I'm not one of those women that's going to tell you don't go through his phone. I mean, do what you want to do, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to deal with the fact that you done went through his phone, and you're going to have to tell him that you done found some information in his phone, and that's going to be between you and him. Number one. Number two, I don't like people snooping around me going through my shit, because you might get something and you might misconstrue what you see. Just ask me. I'm a direct individual. Just ask me. I can pretty much answer any question you have, whether I think you're going to like the answer or not. Whether I think I'm going to like your answer or not, I would rather you be straightforward and fair with me. And so I say that to say, man, you should have just talked to the man. Because if you were snooping around in his phone, you had some thought process that something wasn't right. You don't go snooping when everything's good. Okay? So, if you had a thought process that something wasn't right, what happened to sitting down and talking to this man? You've been with this man for 4 years. You can't sit down and talk to him? Or is he one of those guys that has you afraid to say something? Because, see, let's talk about that too, women. And men. Let's talk about it. It's men out here that whenever you bring up a certain topic, they get crazy with you. They get nuts. They start a fight, they leave, they run off, they don't answer the phone, they hang up in your face, they block you. They do things to teach you. Because that's what they're doing. They're training you. Don't go near that subject. You go near that subject, we're not going to talk. So is that what it is, ma'am? Does he have you trained not to discuss certain things with him so that if you discuss these things, he's going to run off so that you can't bring it to his attention, so that you have to snoop through his phone when you are worried about stuff versus talking to your partner? Because if you're in that type of relationship, and women, a lot of you all are, baby, get out of that, because you will never be able to be yourself. You will continue to walk on eggshells, and you will not have a very good time in a relationship like that, even if you are with the man of your dreams. You're not going to have a good relationship. You're going to always be feeling bad. You're going to have more bad times than good times. And I'm not going to tell you that the good times will not be great. When you're with the man that you like, the good times are wonderful, but the bad times are horrible. And the bad times are numerous, and the good times are few and far in between. And a lot of the times, women, we hold on to stuff because of the good times, not realizing that 90% of the time is bad. The 10% is good, but because it's so good, we it's like a drug. We aim to get that good time, and that people, in my opinion, is a toxic relationship, and that's not a relationship that you need to be in. You may need to move on. So, ma'am, I just am wondering. I'm not getting on you for going through his phone, but I have to wonder, because I'm a lawyer, so that background of snooping, sneaky, that type of shit, it kind of like throws me a little bit, because I don't like snoopers. But however, attorneys are the biggest snoopers, okay? But I don't snoop, because I am a firm believer, guys. I'm a firm believer, and just in doing other people's divorces, going through divorce myself, going through things in life, I have learned that the truth comes out anyways. Even when you least expect it, it comes. And as long as you're doing the right thing and living life, on its proper course, the truth is going to come and find you. So if your person is cheating, the truth is going to jump out at you, because the truth wants you to know. The universe wants you to know. The angels that are looking over you, they want you to know. So they'll unfold certain things before your eyes just by moving certain people out of the way, or showing things to you. Maybe not directly or indirectly, which cause you to come to a direct understanding about your situation. And so why can't you wait on that, ma'am? Why couldn't you wait on that? And so the fact that you went through his phone just kind of tells me that I think that there are issues, and you can't talk to this man, and that's why you went through his phone. And it's never good that you've been with somebody for 4 years that you can't talk to. Most of the relationships that I see that start off like that, or that are going like that, end up winding up in a divorce. They don't make it 3 years after they walk down the aisle. So at the end of the day, you need to be able to talk to your man and not be writing me or other people about it before you're able to talk to him, because I would much rather answer the question with you having spoken to him and him have given you a BS answer, and you coming back to me to ask me whether or not that answer could be possibly true, or does it sound right, or kind of using me as a soundboard because you've had some sort of conversation with this man. So guys, again, don't put yourself in relationships where you cannot communicate. That is not going to help anybody. You will wind up in child custody court, divorce court, or otherwise if you are unable to communicate with your partner. And you need to understand that communicating with your partner, it needs to be number one. If you all cannot communicate with each other, then you're going to have to get ground rules somewhere. And more than likely, it may be a judge setting ground rules for you. And that's going to be even whether or not you have children. Because if you marry someone like that and you all aren't getting along and you need a divorce, then you're going to have the court set ground rules for your relationship, right? The breakup of the relationship, and who's going to get one and who's going to go where. So you kind of want to make sure that communication is always open when you're talking to somebody. And then guilt, ma'am. Let me explain something to you. A lot of the times women use guilt against a man. They make them feel bad that they were there for him during time, blah, 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 blah. Guilt will only go so far. One thing that I've learned in my studies throughout school, and this is just because, when you do political science, they make you learn about the whole history of government from the very beginning, and how man decided he or she was going to get together to formulate government, and why people started even living in groups after the Bible days, because it was easy to hunt and gather and protect in a group than it was for you to be on your own. So that's what made people start to come to civilization. In studying that, they make us study something called imperialism, which is also the taking of another's property or land to make a larger community for yourself, which is what a lot of countries do, right? Russia is now invading the Ukraine. You're going over, you're asserting your dominance to take over that country and make that place a better and bigger place for you and your people, so that you all have more money, more hunting, more gathering, more protection, more people that are doing one thing, and you're a greater nation, right? In getting to that, when man just decided he was going to hunt and gather with his family and his brother's family, and they started making these communities, man has been studied throughout history and time in ruling. Okay, and when I say in ruling, I mean in government. Okay, because when you establish these small little cities or these small little communities, or these hunting and gathering groups, okay, way back in the day, that are now more big cities now, right, in countries all around across the world, as you're establishing this, each thing has to be run by some sort of government, right? Some governments are democratic, some governments are not, they're communist. Some governments deal with oligarchs, some governments deal with aristocratic kings and queens. And a lot of the governments started off with kings and queens. That was the most heavily practiced type of government back in the day. And so when you're learning that stuff, political science, you're learning about man, you're learning about hunter and gatherer, you're learning about communities, you're learning about people getting together, you learn how people think when they're ruling over people. And I say this, and women, listen to me, watch, because this goes from the beginning of time, back from the Roman days. This goes way back to Caesar, Brutus. We talking about Socrates, Aristophanes, when they're wearing drapes and robes. Man has always been the same. You can rule a man one of two ways. You can rule a man with fear, okay? Or you can rule a man because he wants to be ruled by you. The best way to rule an individual is number two. You make them want to be underneath your rule. They like the protections, they like what you provide, and they want to be your subject. A lot of people like Putin. You see what he's doing? He's blowing up towns and coming after the people. What he's doing is he's ruling by fear. And let me explain what happens to you when the fear is no longer there. You can scare somebody. You can guilt them into being with you. But when that guilt and that fear runs out, they will go against you every time. Okay? They will go against you every time. So when you are trying to go there with a man, don't use guilt. We're not going to use guilt. I'll close my door because my assistant is out here. My assistant is out there making calls, like I know. Don't use guilt, okay? Because when the guilt runs out, then where the hell are you? What are you stuck with? You're stuck with somebody who's rebelling against you, okay? Women, you like to feel bad. Y'all like to give the man all your money, help him out. You know he's going through stuff. He could be a single father or just a man. You give him all your money, you help him out, and then you guilt him. I was there for you. I was doing this. Look at all I've done. And you hold on to him for a while with that guilt. When that guilt runs out, you're fucked. And what they're going to do is they're going to feel bad. They're not going to want to let you down because they feel guilty. They feel guilty that in their mind, if they will have let you go, in your mind, it will be as if they've used you. So what they do is they stay with you, but they're not really there. They're not really there emotionally. They're not really there physically. They're there out of guilt or fear. And they tend to operate in a two-faced fashion. And they'll have a whole nother life outside of you. And not really pay. And as time goes on, they won't really pay much attention to you. They'll feel stronger on the other side. Because on this side, you use fear. And you used force to rule over that man. Okay? Instead of letting him come to you and wanting to be with you. Wanting to be under your spell. Okay? You got him the wrong way. So, ma'am, I don't know exactly which way you got this man. But by going to his phone, it lets me know that there are either issues between you. There are issues between you guys, hands down. That's just what I'm going to rule in the court of my public opinion. Y'all have issues. Y'all have bad communication. And you're ruling in that relationship either by fear or you're ruling by guilt, or something. You don't have enough of a hold on him, or he has you trained not to bring up certain things, or he'll leave. And if that's what it is, none of those are good relationships for people. You don't want a man training you, not allowing you to communicate with him. Sometimes you have to let things go, and then you just have to move on with your life. It doesn't mean that you don't have to love that person from afar, but you don't have to be in love with that person, and you can move on and have a happy life with somebody else. I am a firm believer that every person, I mean, you don't have to be stuck with one person. You know, you may feel like that person's your soulmate, but that may not be who you're supposed to be with. There may be somebody else out here that's better for you. Don't be in relationships, y'all, that are going nowhere. Please, Lord Jesus. You're already been with the man 4 years. Y'all are not married. You didn't say he was your fiance. You're going through his phone. There's a lot of things going on that, to me, don't make sense after 4 years. Girl, if you are trying to hold on to a man that don't want to be healed, girl, let him go. Loose him. Loose him. Loose him. Loose him. Go on about your business, girl. Girl, please. Girl, do what you want to do. Find you another man that's going to care for you, that's going to love you, that's not going to cheat. That's not going to be an emotional or physical affair with another woman. You don't deserve that. And the other woman doesn't deserve that either. She deserves all of him or none of him. See, women, this is a problem. And I'm going to go ahead and get off my soapbox, and I'm going to close this show out. I'm going to answer one legal question on custody or something before I close it out. But I'm going to close it out. I'm going to let y'all know this. Baby, you don't have to just be saying you have a man. You don't have to feel like you're less than because you don't have a man. Because a lot of the times a woman's strength is in knowing knowing what she is, knowing what she's got, knowing how fine she is, knowing how smart she is, knowing how many men want her. That gives you your strength. And when you buckle down with one man and you allow yourself to be abused or not treated properly by one man, it starts to devalue you. Knowing your value, baby, is your number one asset as a woman. And it seems like, for whatever reason, you don't know your value. And I want you to work on that. I want you to work on you. Okay? And you need to communicate. I would just ask him. Yeah, it's going to be a fight because you went in his phone. It's going to be an argument. But I would ask him. I would talk to him. And I'd be prepared for what he has to say. And if he's in love with somebody else, let him go. It's not that big of a deal. Go find you somebody else. There's plenty of people around the United States. And people are steadily coming here. I'm telling you. The country is getting, it's huge. It's packed. And there are new people coming every day. So you can find another man. Okay? I know you like him. But you can find another man. So I'm going to order you to go ahead and go talk to this man. See what's going on. Stay out of his phone. Because if you got to go on his phone, ma'am, then the relationship is done. It's over before it started. Don't go through people's phones. Because when you're looking for something, you may find it. And then you're looking in the wrong place. And know that as long as you're living life right, you're doing the right thing by the man in the relationship, you got the right thought process surrounding the relationship, and what you want is true and genuine, the universe will unfold things for you so that you are able to guide yourself in the right path with respect to that relationship and or others. Okay, so we're going to rule that, girl, you need to talk to your man and not to me. That's what we're going to rule. Okay, and now I'm going to pull up a child custody question because y'all really come to my show to ask me questions about the law. I understand that. But I mean, I had to go ahead and talk to her because she had a question. I had to answer it. It's so much that I see. So, here we go. Let's see. Oh, Lord. Here we go. What is the penal code for an officer interfering with a child custody exchange during a civil standby? I've witnessed and had an officer previously documented by their supervisor for telling my child to go back with the other parent during my court-ordered possession time. I'll spare you the long story because children's demands don't override court orders. It's my understanding from an officer who once told me that any officer interfering during a civil standby with answering questions or instructing individuals on what to do against a Texas court order is a violation of the law. What is the specific penal code in Texas for when an officer acts superior over a judge's signature and ends up aiding my ex and violating my constitutional rights? Additional background. My ex took our child against the Texas court order that specifies my visitation time with our child. They've been previously arrested for violating Texas Penal Code 2503, interference with child custody, from another county jurisdiction since our exchange is over 100 miles from each other's residence. And I have another offense report waiting for my ex to be arrested again while they're out on a PR bond. Baby, she has a problem taking that child away from you, and she is serious, isn't she? Don't worry about the officer. What I'm going to tell you is, honey, you need to file an IED or an IAD. I don't know what jurisdiction this officer is in. You didn't let me know that. But every police department has a complaint process. IED, IAD, it's formal. It's sworn to. You have to get it notarized. You need to file it. It goes to internal affairs, and that officer is then looked at for what he or she has done to you. That complaint is formally filed, and it is a part of their employment file, no matter what. So that's what you need to do. You need to go ahead and open up IED, IAD. It seems as if you have enough proof on your side and you know what you're talking about to do that. Start off with that, because if internal affairs within the police department finds that he's done something wrong, they'll file the charges themselves and get rid of his behind. And that's kind of how you do that, because I'm trying to call a DA's office and get them to do it. It will be harder. But start off with the complaint process within that particular police unit. And that person's superior officer is going to have to lodge that complaint against them formally. And then you all will go through a process on administratively trying to suspend this officer or hold he or she to the gauntlet for doing what they were not supposed to do. And guys, a lot of the times when you're dealing with child custody issues, cops are called and they try to get involved. And they're not supposed to. All they're supposed to do is look at the court order, tell you all, what the court order says, and either way it goes, they're not supposed to get involved. They're not supposed to force a child to come that's supposed to be coming up as a part of the court order. So he can't go get that child and say, I'm going to get this child and make this child come. They don't have the right to do that either. They also don't have the right to tell the child that the child can stay with the parent. What they're supposed to do is recite that court order and state what the person and the parent and the child are supposed to do. Give them the ability to do that, and if they don't do that, file the police report for you. Or either file the police report either way, so that you have documentation to go to court. That's their job, and that's all they're supposed to do. They go beyond that, you may very well need to be filing a complaint. Okay, IED or IAD. It's a formal complaint. It hits internal affairs, and it hits their record, employment record. And that needs to be what you file. That's the way that you go. Okay? And guys, you can also use that for other things that police officers do. But there are a lot. This is a custody question, and I do understand where this person is coming from. And given the fact that the person is already on a PR bond for interference with child custody, and that officer had the nerve to try to let that child stay or tell that child to stay or go against the court order, is ridiculous. Because, I normally, what happens when, I'm representing a client and an officer gets involved, they normally, more than likely, are on some sort of contract for them to get, services after hours or at different times. For me, it's on a different pay scale. But they can get those services, and I'll just start right then with the complaint process. With being a lawyer, I'll just call their sergeant to the scene. That's what I do. I call the sergeant to the scene, and I start holding people accountable. I start getting badge numbers and name numbers, letting people know I'm getting ready to file a report with internal affairs, and more than likely the sergeant comes out or whoever is over the sergeant, and they straighten it out and they fix that problem right then and there, and we don't have those issues. But if you don't have an attorney on standby that can assist you, just do exactly what I said originally and you'll be just fine. So you guys have a fantastic day. Y'all have a great week. I wanted to make sure that I got everything out here for you all. So I have 2 shows running this week. I'm making up for all the weeks prior to where I was too busy and could not do a show. You are still going to get those shows. Make sure that you subscribe, okay, to my channel. Hit the notifications. That way, whenever I do post, you get a notification. Normally, I'm going to post on Mondays, though. Every Monday, you should see a show for the week, okay? But again, I'm running behind. Today is Wednesday, so both shows will be posted for this week today. Y'all have a fantastic day again for the 50th time. And then, take note of my address, Booker, Booker, Booker at bookerlawfirm.com. booker@bookerlawfirm.com. That's booker@bookerlawfirm.com. Send me an email in the subject heading, put YouTube show, and I will make sure not to forward that to any administrators. And I will make sure that I take care of that and put that question right here on this show for you and answer it. Y'all have a fantastic day. Okay, I'm gonna put the gavel up because I'm done ruling with the court of my public opinion. And until next time, court does stand in recess. Have a nice day. Bye. Bye. Like Michael Johnson's son says, bye. I love you, Jay. Bye.